Good morning. Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Ian.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is Starting Strength with Bodyweight and Kettlebell skills. Church bells are right there. Kettlebells are right behind us, but we'll start with our bodyweight first and get in touch. Any priorities or goals for today, Lauren, for you?
I think our menu says it all.
Okay. Well, we'll read the menu as we go here. We have some strength and endurance skills to continue with, but first, we'll start with that breath. One hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. The first task is to make room. Breathe in through the nose. Fill the belly, pressing against the hand. Exhale, pulling the belly to spine. Repeat again. Breath into the belly, looking to make room. And then exhale, pulling that belly to spine. Now keep that tension down low and breathe into the chest, in through the nose. Exhale slow. And one more time, in through the nose. And exhale slow. Now revisit the belly and take a big breath in. Hold full for 4 seconds. 4-second exhale, pulling that belly to spine, and hold empty for 4 seconds. Then repeat that effort in the chest. Breath in. Hold full for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4. And hold empty for 4. And return to breathing in the nose and out. Take a moment off the breath and check in with the head neck. At the head neck, take it into extension, meaning chin or face towards the ceiling. And then flexion is chin towards the sternum or the crown of head high. From this flexion position, scrape a clavicle, looking towards a shoulder or sniffing an armpit, and then look up the wall to the ceiling, to center, and then crown head high, chin low, alternate to the other side. It's the chin scrape to the clavicle, looking up the wall at the side, and head and neck to center. Pull the crown high, rest in the middle, and let's reverse the order. An extension first now, as we look to the ceiling. Then we'll look down the wall at the side, casually scraping that chin towards clavicle. Finish chin in center, look up. And then out to the lateral side in a rotation, chin towards clavicle, scrape to center, and then up to tall. Let's breathe one more time. Change up your stance for something just slightly different. Hand belly and hand chest again. Take that big breath into the belly, and then exhale, pulling the belly to spine. Now keep the belly to spine and breathe in through the nose. Increase the tension and support for the core and spine. Exhale. The belly is still pulled in tight. Let's breathe in underneath. And then exhale. And for our last one here, the belly is in tight. Now add a brace that you can hit yourself on those abs. And for 10 seconds, can we breathe behind that shield? One more breath in, test your shield, cramp your glutes, exhale, and then wiggle it all the way with our shake. From standing, we'll mobilize those shoulders starting with the blades, hands in that inverted V or A shape. Let's elevate the shoulders as a shrug and then pull down. Retract shoulders is to squeeze them together, and then protract, driving down and forward. Bend the elbows to the W shape.
Mine are still forward.
Oh, retract them. Oops. Retract those shoulders and then pull to the W. In the W, let's elevate the shoulders as shrugging and then pulling down. Add that retraction and then that pressing, scooping, protraction forward. Finish in retraction and then extend the elbows to the T. At the T, the palms could be face up or facing forward. And at this place, again, we'll elevate the shoulders as a shrug, pull down, protract as to scoop under, and then retract. All the while pulling down with caution, listening and feeling for those shoulders. Bring the hands towards the Y shape. In the Y, elevate the shoulders as a shrug, pull down with stiff arms, scoop or protract those shoulders forward, retract, and then pull back to the W, or to that racked position as I'm showing here. Extend the elbows and then shake it out. If your shoulders were not as comfortable in those body weight movements, it would be our recommendation that we hold off of that bell for a little bit. You can still do everything, but maybe just try with the body weight, or feel the body, listen to shoulders, and progress your strength.
Let's hinge.
Hinging.
Standing with your feet slightly wider than your hips, we'll warm up our hinge and we'll make our way to the floor. From here, let's chop those hips, pressing the hips back, feeling those hamstrings from the gardening you still did on Saturday. Ooh. And right now, maybe have a look at your toes. Are they gripping the floor? Your arch is pulled up by gripping. Your shins should be vertical. You should feel that load through your hamstrings and your butt, and your spine is nice and long like there's a rod running through it. Now drive into the floor, pushing down and away as you extend up to tall. At the top, squeeze both your cheeks, brace all your abs, and then relax for a second. Let's repeat. Hip hinge, pushing those hips back. Hang out here for another second, feel the load, grip the floor, push down and away to stand up tall. This time we'll hinge, pushing those hips back, and then we'll break some rules, tipping forward and finding the floor to your hands and knees. Once on your hands and knees, let's grip those fingers down into the floor, pull our shoulders out of our ears, and gently try to straighten those elbows, rotating your blood donations or your elbow pits forward. With them turned forward and your shoulders packed, pull the floor towards your knees and start drifting so your shoulders go towards over your fingertips in extension. Now push your fingers away from you and send yourself back. Let's repeat. Pull the floor towards you, drifting into extension, and then press the floor away. And one last time, shoulders stay packed, elbows stay as straight as possible, pulling into extension. And then this time we're going to press away, flicking the floor away, extending our hips and shaking that out. We'll do one more wrist move. We'll extend our arms, palms face each other, and then fingertips come down, callus lines, and palms. Can you place those palms down with straight elbows? And your shoulders are already packed. Now press your right fingers into the floor, and that should shoot you to the left. And then press your left fingers into the floor, shooting yourself to the right. Let's try that a couple more times. Feel how when you push one direction, you go the other. I think there's a lot of physics in there, but we'll save that for somebody else's YouTube channel. Coming back to center, we'll push the floor away. Flick, extend the hips.
Third motion.
The third law. Not of thermodynamics though, that's a different law. Like I said, let's leave that to somebody else. Let's bring that knee up into our lunge position. From here, hike a hip and then pull it down. With those hips horizontally level, let's tuck the back hip under, squeezing the back butt cheek and tucking the tail slightly. And then let's do the opposite, tilting the tailbone to the ceiling or arching that low back. And one more time, tuck the tail under, squeezing your back butt cheek and feeling some feelings in the front of that hip. From here, push down on this front leg and pull it in. As you keep squeezing that back hip, extending it, as you pull, you might slowly start to drift forward. If you do drift forward, make sure your shoulders stay on top of those hips in your square. At the forwardest part, push down and press, one more time, forward to go back. At this tall position, we're still extending that back hip, and now we're super stacked. Relax for a second, but stay. Let's heel toe that foot open to the side. And right here again, make sure those hips are horizontally level. Tuck slightly under to extend that back hip. Push down in the floor and slowly start to pull again. And now we're drifting knee towards over the toe. Noticing we're still square forward with that upper body and hips. Then drive down and press away to get your self back to tall and stacked. Let's take this arm of the side leg and put it across our chest. From here, our head will rotate over towards that side leg, and then the upper body will rotate. We're going to chop our hips, pushing them into the back wall, and have our hand find the floor. Before we go anywhere, let's stack the wrist under the shoulder, under the other shoulder, so we're in one straight line. From there, head will rotate, looking at the hand on the floor, and then shoulders will square up with the floor. Take a breath here. Try to keep sending that knee to the side. We'll rotate our head towards the ceiling, and then shoulders will follow, rotating open, Keep that knee side. Press the floor away, extending the hips back through. Heel toe to center. We'll bring that leg underneath, zip, and bring the other one up. Same thing, other side. From that lunge position, back toe tucked, hips hike, and then pull down. Tuck under, squeezing your back butt cheek, and then tilt your tail to the ceiling. One more time, tuck the hips under, squeezing the cheek. Now push down and pull on the floor. Keep that back hip extended and maybe start drifting to that forward place here. Again, staying stacked. Now we're going to push down and press forward to bring yourself back up to tall. Keep that back hip squeezed and extended. From here, we'll gently relax and heel toe that foot open to your safe side. In your side position, you're still square to the front of the room, and that knee is in line with our foot. From here, let's tuck and squeeze that back butt cheek, push down, and pull on the floor. Again, sending our knee towards over our toe. Keep extending this hip forward, take a second there, and then gently drive down and away as you grow back up to tall. In this tallmost position, let's take this arm and cross it across our chest. Head will rotate to that knee, and then shoulders will rotate open as well. From here, chop your hips, pushing it back over that back ankle. Hand finds the floor. Gently shift your weight a little forward to stack your shoulders. Head looks at the hand on the floor. Shoulders square up to the hand on the floor. Take your breath here. Keep sending that side knee back a little bit. Then head will rotate open to the ceiling. Shoulders will rotate open. And then push the floor away, extending the hips through. Front foot moves. We'll bring that underneath. We'll flip onto our back and work through some mobility get-ups.
You got it.
And core.
Nice. Let's start on our back, as Lauren said, in the cuddle. So pretend you have that kettlebell. In this case, laying on my right side, the right hand would have the load. The pinky would go near that handle, so get the full pretending effect here. And now we'll roll to the back or the firing range. Press the right hand or that hand of your choice to the ceiling, and then assemble in the get-ups pose. Packing shoulders, press the bent leg through the floor to extend the hip, ending up on the elbow. While in this elbow position, look down at the hand and then back up to the hand up top. Then press through the floor to the tall sit. Let's roll that shoulder forward, but then retract for strength. Continue to push down to bridge and sweep the leg. From there, we'll slide up, just like Lauren's warm up there, then square up the lunge, and standing nice and tall, core brace to stand. Keep the arm overhead if that's for you, or return it to this rack's position, and let's descend in the lunge with control. No crash bang. We'll open up the leg to the side, add that rotation, find the hinge, hand on the floor, sweep the leg, find the elbow, and then 1 second back and return to where we are. 1 second, and then back. Now 1, 2, return, 3 seconds, 2, 1, return, and now 4, to the floor with control. Now let's cuddle that other side. Here we are on my left. My left hand is pretending to grip the bell, and I'll press towards the ceiling or the firing range. My left arm to the ceiling, the left leg is bent, and then get-ups pose on the other side. Extend the hip by pushing through the floor and pulling on the elbow. Next, it's that tall sit. Retract that shoulder. Make sure we're in there nice and snug, and then bridge and sweep and slide the hand up the leg. Square up the lunge. You could also return that arm to the rack's position here as we stand. And then we'll drop down with control. Open the leg to the side. Rotations, hinges, sweeping that leg through to our tall sit. Find the elbow, and again, 1 second back to stack. 2, 1, and stack. 3, 2, 1, and back. And now 4 seconds to the floor, always thinking of the core. While we're on our back here, let's bend both legs and practice 2 repetitions of our hip bridge. If we started by tipping our tailbone away or to arch our low back a little bit here, let's reverse that by then scooping and engaging the glutes. Continue to scoop, crush those glute tensions and grip the feet to the floor. I've assembled here in my high bridge where we'll hang out for 10 seconds. Improve your tension techniques. That's your brace. That's your glute squeeze, all the while maintaining your breath. Hold the pose, relax the tension, and like that cat-cow, articulate down the spine, drawing the belly button towards the spine, preventing any crash bang. Repeat once more. Arms could be over the chest or into the ground for tension and stability, but scoop those hips, bringing the front of the hip towards the belly button, engage the glutes, hit that nice bridge position, and for 10, we're gonna pull those knees together, grip the feet to the floor, brace the core, squeeze the glutes, and for 1 more second, relax the tension, and nice and slowly articulate down the floor as if that cat-cow. From here, let's flip over onto our hands again, check in on those wrists. If the wrists were unhappy in the warm-up, please feel free to use the elbows in a planks position. But fingertips connect if we can, then the hands. Lengthen out the legs into a high plank or your modified position, and for 10 seconds, increase the tension by pulling those hands and feet together, cramping your glutes, bracing the core, pulling through the armpits, and holding this high tension plank for 2 more seconds. Then gently place the knees on the floor. If you feel you need to do the child's pose after a plank, you might be planking wrong. In this place, try to keep the tailbone tipped to the ceiling. Then in our plank, we'll reverse that, connect the ribs to the hips, and for 10 more seconds, practice high tension techniques for safety and strength. Breathe, no moving for 3, 2, relax. Now tip the tailbone to the ceiling, the knees might soften. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Assemble in a hinge position, and then press the hips through to stand. Nice. So this is where we'll get into the weighted section of the practice. As we said, we have our kettlebells here off to the side, and we'll be practicing grip holds for grip strength, core strength, coordination, and just a nice check-in before we get to the other moves today. So Lauren has her suitcase or kettlebell ready here, as do I. Stand over top of the load with the kettlebell handle parallel with your feet. Chop the hips, grip with one hand, pack the shoulder. In that place, you could check in making sure that your shoulders are square. So square up shoulders, brace, preload, drive, picking up. Today's practice again will aim for about 20 seconds in this loaded position. Be sure to not let the load overwork you and improve grip strength, core strength, and awareness with the kettlebell. 5 more seconds is our full 20. Squeeze your glutes, press your feet into the floor, open your stance, return, adjust the handle if you need, and come up barehanded. Shakes, wiggles, and rolls in between are good, and we'll repeat that effort on the other side. Single arm, are those shoulders square? Do you feel the preload? Then, to the top. Assemble your feet as you need. Grip the floor with the toes, cramp those glutes, and as Lauren's testing, brace those abdominals. The shoulder is packed as to share the load. Breathe, control. Oh, my non-dominant side's a little bit harder today. For 5 more seconds, then we'll open our stance, return to the floor, and we're up with bare hands.
Nice.
Nice, eh?
We'll get into some single leg hinges in between those holds. So give yourself some room and stand in your hinge position we practiced as we were getting to the floor there. So with your feet slightly wider than your hips, you'll chop your hips back, loading up those hamstrings. Let's get those shins a little more vertical or perpendicular with the floor. Then let's press, shifting our weight to one leg. The offloaded leg is going to reach to the side, and then staying connected to the floor, it's going to draw a half circle around to the back. Once you're at the back, let's lift that hip a little bit, making the shin more vertical, and then as one unit, stand up all the way through, extending your back butt cheek. Repeat on the other side. Two-legged hip hinge, vertical shin. Shift weight the other way, sending the leg side. Stay connected with the floor as you draw the circle to the back. Lift the hip a little bit more, and then roll over the foot, pressing through, extending to tall. One more time each side. Hip hinge. Feel the load. Push weight onto the single leg. Draw your half circle around the back. Lift the hip just a little bit, and then one unit up to tall. Last time, other side. Hinge. Stack weight on the other side, pushing the leg long. Stay connected to the floor as you reach out the back. Make the shin more vertical by lifting the hip, loading the hamstring hip, and then up through to tall. And shake.
Body weight hinges to improve the swings or the deadlifts. Sorry for cutting you off there. And working on the kettlebell skills next. Resume the low hold if that's a brand new movement for you, or follow us to the racks position through our clean. We'll set up mostly the same. The kettlebell handle is parallel with those feet. The load will be in my right hand, so I'll grip it with the right first. Then we'll secure it with the left. We'll feel those preloading techniques, and then zip up your jacket to that rack position. Also hanging here for 20 seconds. Making sure, again, we're not leaning side to side and trying to stay nice and stacked. Make this harder on your abs and glutes and safely approach this load in regards to your low back. 5, 4, finish with integrity, 2 hands to the floor.
Hinge.
And up with that shake. We have one more side to do in that rack. Mine is my non-dominant, probably gonna be a little bit harder. Left hand on, grip it, preload, zip, using the power of those hips to end up in that rack's position. Grip it, nice firm grip. Pack the shoulder, support the load in the front side here with the efforts in the back. I've lost track, let's go 5, 4, keep the shoulders underneath those hips, 2 hands, return, and body weight up. Hinges one more time.
Nice. We'll repeat the same drill again. 2 on each side. Setting up in your two-legged hinge, pushing your hips back. Load up the single side by reaching the opposite leg long out the side. Connect all the way to the back. Lift the hip, making the shin more vertical. And then as one unit, stand up, hip comes through. Step. Same thing other side. Hinge. Load up that single leg. Reach the leg long all the way around to the back. Lift the hip a little bit and then up through to tall. One more time each side. Hinge. Stack weight, sending that leg side. Draw the circle to the back. Lift the hip just a little bit and then one unit up. And last time other side. Hinge. Stack, pushing that weight over. Draw the half circle. Load up hammy and glute. And then one unit to tall. Whew.
Nice.
Nice.
We had a couple carries for today. We had low holds, single leg deadlifts, and I didn't even write it down.
Rack holds.
Rack holds, but I wanted to get to one more, which is that overhead hold. We've approached this overhead hold patiently here. Don't force it. Go back to one of the 2 of those positions, or let's try it out.
Great.
Get it.
You go ahead.
Okay, so here we are going overhead with our load. We would clean it to that rack position. And then once we're here, it's a press. Oh, my goodness, that might have been hard. Hold it for a couple more seconds, modify your stance as you need, and full body tension throughout. Grip the bell, straighten the elbow, pack the shoulder, create time under tension, and then open up your stance with control, return to the rack, and then to the floor. Add the shake. Rest. Repeat on the other side now. Lauren,
No, I'm going to be uneven.
little easier for you here. So I'm going to probably use it offhand to help this load up here today. But here we go into that rack position. body tension as we press and learning to load under the bell. The hand is gripping the kettlebell, the elbow super straight, and the armpit is wearing that load down. Maybe you like your feet slightly wider. Personalize that for you. And then with control, we'll return the kettlebell to the rack and then to the ground. So yes, this is a beginner kettlebell class focusing on the basics. Maybe that's a heavier load, but we get better at things on the crazier end of the kettlebell spectrum by practicing the basics like the holds.
The basics are the best. All right.
So it's time to go to the floor. Ready? There's no rules right now, but once we're down there, we'll be working on our first move of the get up. So anyhow you'd like, let's get down. If the first move is the cuddle, if the initial move is the cuddle, then one of the first moves is where we end up here on the elbow. I'm so sorry.
I'll take this over.
I'm so sorry. Okay, you take it over.
Let's start in our cuddle position. Whether you have an imaginary bell or a real bell, end up in your cuddle. If you're gripping a real bell, bottom hand grips close to the pinky side, top hand cuddles. Roll onto your back with two hands and press that bell up through your firing range position. Setting up your legs in the get up position, maybe you stay here and hold firing range. If you'd like to add on, drive that foot into the floor, extending the hip and pulling to that elbow. In this position here, we're still looking at our bell and our shoulders are stacked. We're going to slowly find the floor by pressing away from the elbow to our back. If you feel good, let's try one or two more. If you want to stay in that firing range, go ahead. And slowly to your back. One last time. Biggest thing with this first move is to use that hip. It's not a sit-up. Now slowly press away from the elbow, finding your back. With two hands, pull your bell down, keeping the vertical forearm, and cuddle towards the floor. Pressing the floor away, we'll rotate and do the same thing on the other side.
Good cue. Not a sit-up.
Not a sit-up.
Drive the hip.
A sit-up will get you a couple pounds into a get-up. It will not get a very heavy bell any further. So I recommend using that hip drive right away. Bottom hand grips, second hand on top, two-handed roll and press. Set those legs up, either stay in firing range or foot pushes in the floor. Hip extend, pull. On the way down, keep those shoulders packed as you push away from your elbow to find the floor. Repeat one or two more times. A nice fluid movement, not a rushed movement. And that long leg is trying to stay heavy into the floor as you come up. Pressing the floor away to your back. Two hands, bellow, pull down, and cuddle. From here, let's get a nice push-up in. We'll flip onto our stomach, tucking our hips under, bracing our core, whether from the knees or the toes. Hips and chest leave the floor at the same time. Lift the knees, keeping the tailbone long. Walk yourself back up through your hinge and press through to tall. Can you handle the squats, Ian?
We can handle the squats,
Okay.
Lauren. We can handle it. Let's do our first set body weight, pretending that we're holding that kettlebell in our rack position.
Goblet.
Goblet, double rack or goblet hold, you're right. Pack those shoulders. Push the feet into the ground, cramping the glutes, squeezing or straightening those knees, and then slowly start to pull together. Heighten the awareness of these adductor strengths here, and then continue to pull as we get low. Holding this kettlebell, Lauren's showing A+ form. Instead of having the elbows away from the body. Keep those elbows in tight and drive back up to tall. Time under tension, pretty tricky training technique. Simple rather than easy, but we'll pull ourselves down, nice and control, and just check that the shoulders are again in a retraction. Then press down into the ground, extending those hips to tall. One more time. Pull. Resist gravity on the way down. Get towards your safe range, elbows in tight, and then drive to tall.
You can tell I don't like hanging out down.
No, not many people do, honestly.
All right.
So here we go back to the floor, and we'll work on that second move now.
Second move. So this time, if you were with us there or firing range, we're going to get from our elbow to our tall sit on our hand. First things first, get to the floor.
Get to the floor.
If you'd like to practice this move without your kettlebell, please feel free. From your cuddle position, grip that bell. Two-handed roll, two-handed press. First move first, obviously. Use that hip drive, pull on the elbow. Now keep that bottom shoulder packed as you press the floor away to find your hand. Sorry, I did that very sloppy to try to get you a better perspective. That bottom shoulder packed, we're gonna find the elbow again and stay. And then from the elbow, we'll find the hand. And one more time, if you're okay, find the elbow, shoulders stacked, press the floor away to the hand, and this time all the way to the back. Elbow, pushing away, finding the floor, two hands, cuddle, and roll. Nice, let that glow go, and we'll flip around to do the same thing on the other side. All right, cuddle position first. Two-handed roll, two-handed press. Set up in that get up, leg, foot close to the bum. From here, hip drive, push into the floor, find your elbow, hold for a second, then press the floor away, finding that tall sit. Come back to the elbow again, keeping the shoulders stacked, looking at your belt. Push, find that hand like you're squishing a bug underneath it. One last time, elbow, shoulder stays proud, hand, and here we go to the floor. Elbow, press away from the elbow, finding the floor, bringing the bell down with control, and cuddling over. We'll do our push-up up, rolling to our stomach, tucking the hips, pressing the floor away, keeping the tailbone long, and walking ourselves back up through our hinge.
Hinges, fantastic. In that hinge, the hips stay higher than the knees. In our squat pursuits, the goal is to get the hips lower than the knees. Work on your mobility with body weight first, and then, if you feel confident, let's grab those loads. We'll do 3 repetitions of squats here. 2 hands to grip. It's that preload. It's a cleaning action to bring it to the goblet. Adjust your stance. Pull yourself down with control and up, core brace, extend. Pull down with control, up, core brace, extend. Last one, control down, power up, adjust your feet, return the bell, and shakes. We have one more set of that get up, under load or with your body weight, Lauren. Let's take it away.
It's time to sweep. This is the furthest we've gone in this class with a bell. Let's go. Come on down to the floor first. We are going to, sorry, I just want to set up so it's a good perspective for you. We're going to set up like this. In our usual, we'll get through move 1 to the elbow, hand to the tall sit, and then we're going to lift our hips and sweep that leg under. Here we go. From that cuddle position, roll to your back and 2-handed press. We'll drive into the floor, extending our hip, pulling to our elbow. Find our hand in that tall sit. Now from here, push into the floor, lift your hips, and sweep the leg under. Hold for 3, 2, we're gonna find our bum again. Stay in that tall sit, and if you can, let's do that one more time. Press away, sweep the leg under, stacking, and then sweep back through. Find the elbow, and slowly press away to your back. 2 hands, bell pulls down, and cuddles. Nice, let that go. Move yourself around the bell as we do the same thing on the other side. From the cuddle position, 2-hand roll, 2-handed press. Set up, get organized. Hip drive, pull on elbow. Find that hand with a tall packed shoulder. From here, bridge to lift. Legs sweep, knee finds the floor. We're nice and stacked. We'll sweep back through, finding our bum, keeping our shoulder packed. One more time, press the floor away. Sweep the leg under. Hold. 3, 2, sweep back through. Find the elbow and slowly pressing away from the elbow to our back. Pulling the bell down and cuddling. That sounded heavy over there, Ian.
I know. Oh, I don't want to get up that way. You're going to make us push up.
Push up. From your stomach, pack those shoulders, juicing an orange in your armpit, tuck the hips under, press as one unit, lift, and doody-doo, walk in, extending the hips through. Tall.
As you may or may not know, we train kettlebells twice a week, once on Tuesdays, and then today here on Wednesday. And I think Lauren kicked my butt pretty well last night, as today's practice is a little bit more challenging.
Yes, it sounded a little bit.
So this is where we like to finish with that strength and endurance. So we'll pattern some body weight swings. Feel free to use your kettlebell going forward or stick to the body weight drills to refine your technique to stay safe and strong. So open up this hinge stance. Toes could be slightly turned out, but generally just outside of those hips. Place the hands at the groin or hips and brace core tension. Then let's hinge. Hands go towards out the back. Now stay in the hinge and reach the arms forward, but keep the shoulders down. From here, we'll shadow or pattern our swing. It starts off the floor in that hike pass, pulling to groin, and now stand up tall, keeping the hands close until you brace and squeeze your glutes, and then the kettlebell may float to the front. With the shoulders in retraction, so squeeze them together. Take your time as you press the hands towards the groin, then press the feet into the floor, reaching the hands back, and return the hands to the front. Repeat one last time. Pull that imaginary kettlebell to groin zipper, press the feet into the ground to stand up. Full body tension here, and then the kettlebell will float. Chest high. The shoulders are retracted. Press down, core brace. Time it so that the hinge happens, and then the return to the floor. Let's let go, and then up, barehanded. And then our shakes. Body weight swing drills. After we learn that deadlift hinge, take time, practice the groove, and then we can work on the speed, as Lauren here will share with us with the chop and pop.
The chop and pop. This will aim to pattern the speed of the swing. With your hands out front, like this. Chop your hips back, sending them back. Now as your arms come through, pop your hips forward. Let's repeat. Chop and pop. At the top, we're braced, squeezing our glutes, bracing our core, keeping our feet rooted the whole time for 4 more. Chop, and pop. Chop, pop. 2 more, chop. Extend, last one, plank, and then relax. No easy way to dismount that chop and pop.
Who's ready to go? By show of hands, let us know in a chat or a comment or an email. We like to work to your level for skills and strength. So let us know if we're hitting those right notes. I go, you go is a familiar rep term that we use in our practice. I'll be the you, and Lauren is going to be the I. Follow along with Lauren, and then watch me or rest, or vice versa. Do reps for one of us. We're going to do this 5 quick rounds, 5 swings. The pull, the 1. The 2, that elusive Polish punch threatening to make its way through your screen, testing your abs and strength.
Always starting in that hinge position, embracing your core right away. Pulling the bell to zipper and snapping through. Keep that nice pop and chop, pace, pattern, metronome. What's that word? Timing.
Timing. The first rep looks a lot like that last. It might feel harder, the exertion, the aerobics. However, it's the same technique from first to last.
All right, Team Ian, round 2 here. Keep it nice and quick, but don't rush. Explosive power on everyone. Don't save your energy. Use it.
If you do feel that your energy or your power is diminishing, lower that numbers of reps or regress to the body weight swings. Take your time, perfect your strength, practice, and repeat.
Team round 3. 5 swings here. Always to that chest height, maintaining that retracted shoulders at the top and the brace in the front and the back.
Lauren's favorite number is 3, and today I love it too, because that means we're on our way back home. Take your time, check in, Stay strong and breathe to recover.
Remember, as much as the explosion comes on the way up, to use that chicken game on the way down. So stay as tall as you can, as long as you can, and then move when you really need to. Last set.
That Polish punch is going to come out here. But if you first start looking at the toes, they're heavy. Those kneecaps are pulled up at the top, ready for any punch.
Taking those breaths and shaking it out in between. Remembering on each hinge to really reach those hips back like you're trying to touch the wall behind you every time. Place it down, shake it out, couple breaths.
You know it. So let's take some breaths in. Keep the belly button in towards that spine. 4-second inhale. And force an exhale out. Repeat in the belly. And force an exhale. Inhale belly. Force an exhale. One more. Force the exhale. And then shake. You might not be fully recovered after that swing interval with a breath drill like that, but take your time. Big breaths in, slow breaths out to prioritize your recovery. Get back down to the floor, hip flexor lunges to finish. There's no rules, but clear your space. Kettlebells off to the side. And then on the floor, on an elbow in that 90-90 position. In this position here, my top hip is open, so squeeze it as to close the hip. Bottom leg, pull into that hip socket and continue to push that top leg forward. Look at the elbow on the ground, and then from here, let the rib cage follow in a rotation. When you're at the bottom of that range, squeeze your top butt cheek forward, then look up to the ceiling. Open up through the rib cage in a rotation. Take one big breath. Anyhow you like. Exhale, looking down to the elbow. Rotation through that rib cage. One more time, squeeze that top butt cheek forward. Pull the bottom one in. And then look to the ceiling. Rotate through the ribs. Press the floor away. Anyhow you like. We'll switch that out to the other side. On the elbow, 90 degrees of the ankles, knees, and hips. And that top hip, let's activate the glutes and hips as we extend. And then the bottom leg, or the front leg left for me, pull that in to the hip socket. Glance at the elbow on the ground. And then rotate casually through that rib cage next. Squeeze the top leg forward, look up to the ceiling. Follow with the rib cage in a rotation. Take a breath in. And exhale. Then look back towards the elbow. Rotations through the rib cage next. For the final time, squeeze that top leg forward. Look up to the ceiling. Rotate through the rib cage. And then press the floor away to any position comfortable for you to say,
I do.
I do. I like it.
Thanks for joining us today on this beginner bell class. And though we do call it beginner, those basics are just so important for your strength throughout your entire life.
You know it.
So stick to the basics before you progress any further. And always come back to the basics because it'll make you stronger filling in those gaps. Until next time, we have our bar mobility hip work class tomorrow morning as well as Friday. We'll see you there. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for joining. Take care, stay strong, and see you soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.